Thanks so much for staying there for us. And time now to start the AM talk this morning, quite late into the original starting time, but good to start anyway. But I'll have in the studio two gentlemen. Mr. Asamoah Gyamfi is a member of the NPP communications team. Gordon Akogan is a member of the NDC communication team. The two gentlemen will be joining me. Welcome, gentlemen, to the studios. Well, several issues this morning. Top on that is the fuel increases. Quickly, let me speak to Mr. Asamoah Gyamfi. Now, we're told that fuel prices have gone up, and it's likely to see a trickle down to transport fares. First of all, your reaction to the increase in fuel prices?
Well, it is to be expected. Okay, what worries me is that government agencies are not painting the right pictures and letting Ghanaians know the reason for the increase. The reason for this increase is not because of the increase in world price, but it's as a result of the depreciation of the cedi. Okay, and so as the cedi depreciates, you need more cedis to go and buy the same volume or quantity value of dollars. So
you're blaming it on the depreciation of the Ghanaian cedi?
Yes, and until and unless we get our macro economy stable, okay, we're going to face this for a long time to come. The cedi is projected to depreciate to about 3 cedis by December 2014. Okay, and if government doesn't put in measures to deal with it, we're going to have this crisis on our hands. Now, the difficulty is that whereas these costs are going up, okay, naturally, services would go up. Transportation price would go up. Now, telecom is saying they're increasing their prices. Electricity and water, that was increased this month, the 10%, even though they say it's 9.85. Okay.
So you don't believe the NPA is saying that we are adjusting these prices because the commodity prices on the international market has changed?
As we speak now, the oil is still below $100. Okay. It used to be 105, 110. You didn't increase it. Now that it's below $100, what is the justification that the thing is increasing on the world market? Okay, so it is not it. The reality is that the cedi is depreciating, and as a result of, they must increase it, the cedi value of it, so that they can compensate for the depreciation. That is exactly the situation, and they should let Ghanaians know.
Gordon is smiling nicely there, and I'm sure he will want to react. But Mr. Gyamfi thinks that it is not because the international commodity market has adjusted prices. That's why we also have to increase our fuel cost.
Certainly not it. You see, in as much as the fuel prices are not stable, for instance, you made mention of the fact that when oil was 105, we didn't increase. This is a formula that we have decided to adopt. Changes are done every 3 months. So it means that within the 3 months, if there was supposed to be any increase, maybe in the first month, price can change tomorrow. It doesn't mean that prices will be adjusted tomorrow. We have to wait for the quarter before we put all together and the new tariffs.
So that's according to the NPA formula?
Yes. So that is what we have adopted. And we need to, for instance, we are expecting prices to come down next 3 months. These are all projections, depending on how the oil prices are doing. And if tariffs are being increased, or GPR2 has also decided to increase it, probably by the end of next week, they are going to come out with new prices. These are some of the things that we need to look at so that the problems or the burdens of citizenry can be, massaged so that it is not just rolled on to the citizens. One thing that we also need to take into cognizance is that most of the time when fuel prices or tariffs, or let's say lorry fares, are increased, most of the time it is approximated because of the you can't get 50p coin and all those things. These are some of the things that we also need to talk to the GPR to, that most of the time it is approximated so that you come to the nearest zero so that it will be okay for you. So when there's a 3 month increase, it doesn't mean that you can also increase your fares immediately. Let's look at the percentage. We have an increase of 6% on petrol.
Right, petrol.
You understand? And 6% of 9,000, which is being sold per gallon. 6% of 9,000 is not even up to 1 cedi. And if a driver decides that because of that, I'm charging somebody plus a peswa or something, you have overcharged it.
But also claim that there are other things they buy, because when fuel prices go up,
Sure. And I appreciate that. But you see, you can decide to increase your prices anytime based on other factors. But the moment fuel prices are increased and you are basing it on the fuel prices, that means that you are not being fair to all of us. So that is, if they decide that within 2 months, because of XYZ, they are increasing their fares, nobody has a problem with them if it is justifiable. But the moment that you are waiting for the new tariffs to come out before you also base on your increases, then it means that your justification that is because of bad road, because of spare parts and all those things, then it can be justified.
Before I come back to Mr. Asamoah, he made a point that perhaps the NPA is not telling the public the truth. He thinks that it is the depreciation of the city that is causing the increase in fuel costs, not what is happening on an international market.
We shouldn't be going there. You see, fuel prices are always on. Go to Joy online and Google it. You will get the prices. So if they are lying, nobody will come and defend them. And I'm not seeking also to defend the NPA, because personally, this AFF, I don't, the formula for adjusting the prices, personally, I don't really buy into it. You understand? Because it creates some confusion, especially when it comes to fares and all those things. It creates some confusion. We need a stable system whereby I can predict and plan that for the next 6 months, this is how much I'm going to pay for my fuel and its other products. So you can predict and say that this is how I'm planning for the next 6 months. But it goes up, it comes down. And you see, there are some other things that are attached to it that are not seen. You understand? Which is hidden from the ordinary Ghanaian, which makes me not support the adjustment formula. But that is what we have accepted. In 2012, we didn't adjust for, I think, 6 months or something. And it became a problem when we had the last increase. Asamoah Gyefi and his people were saying that it's because of the elections. But personally, it has its challenges. You know, the adjustment formula has its challenges, and I don't support it. But as it is now,
you think that is what we have accepted.
We have accepted. So we need to
go with it. Mr. Asamoah Gyefi, now the transport fares we're told are likely to go up. The burden is on the public to pay. Can we afford it?
The reality is that Ghanaians can't afford it. You see, when again...
Every Ghanaian?
Yes.
Sure.
You see, again, it comes to the macroeconomic stability situation. If your financial position as a nation is that precarious, as we find ourselves in, as we speak now, gold prices have gone down, cocoa prices have gone down, and in our case, our output has also depreciated. Okay? And so, government sources of getting foreign exchange for us to trade with is limited. Okay? Come back into the country, government expenditure far outweighs revenue. And so that is the situation we find ourselves in. And if we do not get our macroeconomic stability right, we are going to face these challenges, and the people would suffer. As we speak, government is, in fact, if we want to talk about it, government have already decided to Parliament has approved that this year he should not increase salaries of workers. Workers are now agitating against it. As to how they're going to deal with it is yet to be seen. But the reality is that if you are not going to increase workers' salary, and you're expecting them to pay more for these services, naturally, Ghanaians are going to suffer. And that is the reality that we're going to face in 2014. Unfortunately, our friends in the NDC, when we say it, it's like we are doomed days.
But government admitted 2013 was a difficult year, but it also said there are hopes for 2012. 2014.
Yeah, sorry. No. Where is the hope? The only hope is my ability to pay. You government is refusing to increase my salaries. Meanwhile, you've increased taxes virtually across board. Okay, and usually these things you will see it in January. We begin to see it from March onwards. That's when we will begin to really see the effect of the increases. Virtually everything has been increased, and government is refusing to increase the wages. And the effect of this increment, even on inflation, you know it. Once transportation prices have gone up by 6%, it's going to have a percentage point on inflation. Okay, and again, what it means is that the value of the CD is going to go down. So clearly, if government do not put in place real measures that would deal with the macroeconomic instability, we are bound to face this for 2014.
For 2014, yes. Mr. Gordon, do you see 2014 as a difficult year, as Mr. Jemfi is trying to paint?
For what he says, I wouldn't begrudge him. But the truth is that 2014 is going to be a good year for us. I'm saying this looking at it from two perspectives. 2013 was a difficult year. We had to, we had to close our backs because 2014 we had 2012 we had a huge deficit.
Right.
So 2013 went to pay for those deficits, and 2014 is going to be a fresh page for us. And you see, I wouldn't say that the first increases wouldn't affect people. I agree with him when he said that it is going to have an amount of pain in the normal everyday person's life.
Right.
But you see, the solution is not in the politicking that we are doing. The solution is for us to be honest as a people. You see, there are a lot of people that, as we speak, are being overtaxed. That is true. But let's look at the larger majority who are not being taxed.
At all.
At all.
That's what you're saying.
You understand? That is where our focus should be. And when our focus is there, most of the time we complain politically, depending on where we stand. If we are on the side of the opposition, then we'll say that somebody who is hawking, why should that person be taxed? How much does the person make? When I was looking at, watching a documentary yesterday, you see there's this WhatsApp going on about plantain chips being sold with how do you call it, rubber, melted rubber, and all that. And I think they came here yesterday,
right? And
when I watched the whole clip, somebody was saying that I used to sell 3 million a day, but when that WhatsApp started coming out, I take 1 million and I sell about 300,000. So let's put it, somebody who is hawking, selling plantain chips 3 million a day. Can you compare what that person makes to what Mr. Samoa Jemfi makes
in a day?
In a day, certainly not. Certainly not. But our focuses are not on those people. Let's go tax them today, and our friends from the opposition will find a ground to. So I think that we need to have a holistic view of this whole thing.
So you're talking about government generating a lot of revenue.
Sure.
But what about the argument that, well, if prices of commodities, fuel, electricity, water, if they are going up, then the salaries, the wages of workers should also go up?
You see, that should have been the case. But you see, there are other things, incentives that can be provided that can also how do you call it? For instance, let's give a practical example. Prices of fuel can go up and come down. So the adjustment formula can go up and come down. If today we say that it has gone up by 6%, let's do a correspondent increase in salaries by, let's say, 2% or 3%. Next quarter, when it comes down, are you going to do a deduction from those salaries? When there's going to be an increase in salary, it shouldn't be based on just fuel prices. This is an appeal that the government has made. And I always respect TUC for something that they did. I think in 2008, when the NDC came to power, they assured that single spine had already been signed for takeoff by President Kufuor. TUC agreed with NDC that don't rush it. We are going to be the beneficiaries of this single spine, but let's take our time and work on it. It means that TUC or workers in general are not just selfish people who are just looking for their pound of flesh or what they are going to get. They understand. And they haven't complained so much, you understand. But I don't know why politicians are rather complaining and crying for the bereaved.
Is that what politicians are doing? You cry more than the bereaved?
I don't think so. The TUC have come out to say they are not going to accept it. Ghana Registered Nurses Association.
Before they came out, Mr. Samuel, before they came out, you were already out there.
No, wait. The reality is that inflation is affecting the value,
the take-home pay of the worker.
Take-home pay of the worker. Not that alone. Government is increasing taxes across board. All of these things have effect on the take-home pay of the worker. Okay? And what you do is that as you are increasing taxes, okay, you at least increase their wage to abreast with inflation so that they can manage. But this time you are saying...
And when inflation comes down...
No, you see? So that they can manage. That has been the system. But now you are asking them, look, gentlemen, I cannot increase your salary. You've sent it to Parliament. Parliament has endorsed it. And the workers are saying, no. We are saying that it is not proper. And it is as a result of the precarious macroeconomic situation we find ourselves in. And instead of government putting in place a lot more efforts to deal with it, we are not. We're seeing increases in government expenditure. And again, like we keep on saying, they have borrowed over $12 billion in their 5 years in government. And yet we cannot really see what
government has always said that the money is going to projects that will pay for themselves. And so we shouldn't worry about...
So where are the projects? Kufuor's 8 years was 8 billion. We could see. You understand? Even not that notwithstanding, between October, and that's the reason why we are suffering this, between October and December 2012, they overspent their budgetary by 8.7 billion Ghana cedis, over $4 billion. And your major project, which they tag as Gang of Four, has not been complete. Okay? The, what do you call it, Sofola interchange has not been complete. The Sawam to Duajiri or whatever road has not been complete. Okay? The Legon, the Takwashi has not been complete. So all of these monies, where did it go? That 8.7 billion over budgetary expenditure is what has reduced us into this. Now the worst thing also is that government is a major expender in our economy. Okay? The 2014 budget, government have all the requests of the ministries, department, and agencies by half. And if you look into it, a larger chunk of this money is going to pay for salaries. There's virtually nothing for capital expenditure. So if government is not spending, the private sector sales output is going to go down. You get it? So clearly, and this is as a result of the fact that we're going to pay almost 9 billion this year in servicing on our loans. And so at the end of every month, if government takes 75% to pay workers, okay, and then pay what is due to our local banks on the loans it has taken, there's virtually nothing. Okay? And so that is what government must address.
Sometimes the argument is that the opposition is always criticizing, but you don't put out any solutions.
We are saying government should look at itself and reduce its budgetary and reduce its expenditure. You must look into it. The government must look into it. If it's downsizing, you downsize. That is what you do. But if you think that no, you can continue to spend, and by doing that you're going to tax, and then there's a certain thing about tax. Tax has an inelastic point. For instance, the 2.5% that they brought about, all that people will do is that they will reduce the level of the quantity of goods they buy. And by so doing, government is going to lose. Last year when they increased the taxes, we told them, these taxes you've increased, you're not going to hit your target. Did they hit it? And this year we are predicting the same thing. You are not going to hit it. Because once you are increasing everything across board, people begin to rationalize their level of expenditure and begin to concentrate on the essentials. They have to pay school fees, pay water bill, pay light bill. And then the rest, they will live within a certain means. So you do not have to concentrate all your effort on it. Now he was talking about expanding the tax net. That is what every government does. And so if the assemblies can put in place a proper system and charge them. It doesn't matter whether where you are selling is illegal or not. There are two different things. If you're selling, you must pay taxes. It is out of the inability of the assemblies to really put in place collection systems to collect these monies. Because these monies could help the assemblies also do what and raise money to provide schools and hospitals and many others as the law allows them to do. So it isn't the opposition who is saying don't. In fact, we have always gone against them, even driving people off the streets. Okay? So I do not see that the opposition is going to go against it. Government must really downsize its expenditure. If they fail to do that, then I honestly do not see how we can come out of it. Now, he was talking about the deficit. The deficit was 12.5%. They pledged to bring it down to 9%. By the end of 2013, they brought it down to 11.5%. They were able to reduce it by only 1%. And so the deficit is still huge.
Mr. Court, the government is talking about using certain systems. For instance, yesterday the president spoke about gift mix that is expected to reduce waste and ensure that MMDAs stay within their limits. Is this perhaps one of the solutions Mr. Asamoah is talking about?
Yeah, and you see, these are things that are already being done. For instance, 2014, government has projected itself to win itself from some of its subvented organizations. DVLA is going, some assemblies who are also going to go. For instance, I don't understand why AMA, KMA should be depending on government for subventions and all those things. So these are the way that the government are going to win itself from. And if you look at this GiveMet, that I think the president said that Tepe is doing well in that area and is committed to it. You see, most of these MMDAs do expenditures that are, let's say, not even in their budgets. Somewhere June, then they move away from their budget. But GiveMet will make you stay within. If there's any money that has been allocated to you and it is not utilized, because some funds even come to the... I've been finance administrator, chairman of the FNA for AMA for over 2 years. Funds come in, not utilized, goes back to chess. And the people in some of these localities need projects, have good programs, but it cannot come to effect. So I think that this is the way that, and you see, it is streamlining things. Expenditure, waste, and all those things will be cut off.
And yet, the president is confessing that his own party members are not happy about it.
He never mentioned his party members. He didn't go straight.
Who was he referring to when he said they?
They can be anybody. It can be journalists.
Not the NPP.
It can be friends.
I can bet you
it can be party
journalists.
It can be party people. But you see, it can also be people who have Ghana at heart or looking at things from different directions. You understand? But the president is in charge and has given the support, and I'm happy he did that for Tepe.
Right.
Because you see, in any situation, any governance, the finance aspect can be seen as the engine. And with this, let's say, media houses, coming out with, how do you call it, reshuffles and all those things. The assurance that he's giving to the finance minister is so good for him to concentrate on what he's doing. And I think it's refreshing, and it will let us also be focused so that he also wouldn't go about, trying to do something, immediately just to see which is going to give us a long time effect. So I think that he's giving the opportunity to relax and work.
And do his work. That is if only the party members will allow him to work. But Mr. Asamoah, the president confessed that he's under some kind of pressure. Now, what the finance minister is doing is good, according to the president, is cleaning the books, making sure that MMDAs stay within their limits, they don't overspend. And yet, the president is being pushed to get rid of him. In politicking, do we rather concentrate on making sure our parties win elections, or we work in the interest of the country.
To me, Tekpe was a deputy finance minister then, who were the ones who went and borrowed the 8.7 billion. He was part of the team. He knew that was wrong. What did he do then? So after you've showered things on the child, and the child now is demanding for more, you can't run away from it. So if people within the party are putting pressure that, Mr. President, what the finance minister is doing is not good, and so get rid of him, because we want a finance minister who continue to go and overborrow so that we can live good. That's what there is.
Gordon thinks it's not members of the party.
It is members of the president said members of my government, members of my party. I saying the finance minister doesn't understand the politics.
He said they have been.
Yes.
Members of my government.
No, he didn't mention that.
I had government. Please, I had the president. Okay? So naturally, that is it. Because if he's going to cut down expenditure, of course, expenditure on capital is virtually non-existent, because it is when government does capital expenditure that people in the political circle would benefit. It is limited as a result of the real practical situation the government finds itself in. Right? But I like the president. The president should be resolute. These people of party members or friends or relatives putting pressure on you as president is a fact of the case. We have an extended family, and many will come with all kinds of ideas or all kinds of pressure for you. The president should be resolute. Sekwe is more of an academic, than a politician.
Sure.
Okay, and so he would like to do purely from the academic viewpoint what is good for the country. Okay, but it has to be seen how much more President Mahama can bear the pressure. Maybe having announced it or said it is going to keep people away for a while, but I don't think that's going to keep them for that long while, because the reality is that is what people in government are used to. I don't understand.
Working in interest of the party,
you see,
not the state.
Yeah, a 2-bedroom house now, okay, in some parts of the class sell for 35,000 Ghana cedis. So why would a 3-classroom block or even a 6-classroom block go for 250,000 Ghana cedis? Under their term, how? Okay, and all of this is feed into the over budgetary expenditure. Are we getting value for money? And that is the kind of things...
Under your term, how much was it? Sorry.
Classroom block never went above 60,000 Ghana cedis.
Which was still above your 2-bedroom analogy.
I am just telling you, yes.
God, I'll give it a chance
so
to react.
Sorry. If it is 25,000 Ghana cedis times 2, it's 60,000. Okay, or it's 50,000. Okay, so how will it go to 345,000? So are we getting value for money for all the projects we're doing? And that one is a duty of the finance minister to ensure that estimates brought are really cross-checked, to ensure that the profit margins are not that huge, to unnecessarily put pressure on the little amount of money that is coming. All of these things are things I believe he's probably querying, probably rejecting projects of and I remember Sapumafu used to do that. He doesn't care whoever you are. He'll tell you, no, from my estimate, this project value is too high, go and change it, or else there's no money for you. Maybe he's also adopted that strategy. And no finance minister in this world is loved by his fellow ministers. That one, as soon as your fellow minister begin to shout praises on you, that means you're not doing things right. Unless maybe you have a very big vault where you're collecting the money from. Because collecting money is not that easy. Okay? So I wasn't surprised that there's that pressure on President Mahama to get rid of him. But I strongly believe that it's good the president has confidence in him, and he also says he's going to urge him on. The reality is that he must paint the reality to all of these big people who might not understand the dynamics. Okay, to let them know that even if I go and borrow, what it means is that I'm increasing the debt stock, and it's only a temporary thing. After 3 months, I have to start paying, and the money already is not there. So when it comes to time to pay, and I cannot pay, you might end up signing a check to a bank, and the check will bounce because government owes the bank, and government have not been able to do it to pay the bank. Because that's all there is in this system. The banks are not just printing money, or even if he asks that money should be printed, that means we are living over and above our means. It's going to affect the depreciation of the city. It's going to affect the economy. So he must begin to let people within government understand the rationale behind some of the decisions he's taking, and I believe that they'll get to understand it. Because if we do not, he does not take control over budgetary expenditure, okay, curtail it or limit it, and to such a time that revenues would rise up, to meet it, then we're in trouble. Last year, there was a shortfall of 25% of projected revenue. That's huge. 25%. That's very, very huge. And so he must begin to cut down on this expenditure. And naturally, it will affect people in government.
And Gordon, you were not too happy, but Mr. Tekpe's situation now, is he able to use it to advance the interests of the country?
Sure. And I think before I come to that, you see, politicians will bring some things to our heads that are not meant to be our problem.
Right.
For instance, you were saying that during the time of NPP, you were quoting the amount that was used to construct
a 3 or unit classroom block.
You see, you need to look at the 6 classroom blocks. What new things have been added to the buildings? These are some of the things that and you see, to add to that too, there are technocrats whose job, before it goes to tender, they calculate the cost of it. It is not in the domain of any politician. You go to the works department, then you want to build a library complex. Then they do the calculations for you before it goes to tender. It's not the politician who does it. So why do we say that our time it was like this, your time it is like this? And these are the problems that we
So you're saying that
it is not something that politicians
have, of the cost of the
has
project
nothing to do with any politician.
Done by the politician.
Yes, you understand. Go to the ministries, and what happens is that there's for instance, this classroom blocks that is being built by AMA. Before it goes to tender, the cost, everything comes with it. So you who are coming to submit your tender or request to construct this facility, you don't do anything apart from getting your resources to go and do it. So why wouldn't people attack politicians or being corrupt when we are rather assuming things that are not meant for us? You understand? So for instance, I come here, I don't decide on what we are treating. So why will I accuse a journalist of selecting topics? That it means that we are bribing journalists.
Right.
You understand? Sometimes we attract some, excuse me to say, some blows that are not meant to be our blows. You know. So back to Tekpe. I think that when as Mr. Samuel Jemfi said, any finance officer in Ghana, there's a word that we say, we call them shikabe. Anytime you need money for something, any finance guy will tell you that shikabe, there's no funds because they are managing it. So most of the time you see ministers saying that Tekpe is chisel, Tekpe is not smiling with people and all those things. He's one of the, I would say, one of the most accessible finance ministers, especially to journalists. We've had finance guys who will not come on radio, will not come on TV. Tekpe is different. He comes, he was even on your, he was here yesterday and all those. He is somebody who will tell you the situation and will task you on what we all need to do. If money comes, money will go. So it is for every ministry, every department, every agency to make sure that we are all able to meet our targets for 2014. When we meet our target for 2014, you wouldn't complain of funds. And what Mr. Samuel Jemfi wants to see, he will see it in 2014.
Right. That's according to Gordon. But let's shift slightly. Now, the mining sector has not been too good recently. The news coming in is that, for instance, the Obuasi mine, there's an imminent closure. About 1,000 people are likely to be laid off. The mining sector and its contribution to Ghana's development, is it doing that?
You see, but I want to react to what my brother
quickly
said.
Before we move on.
When you are given power and authority to do something, and I bring in a document to you, and you know you don't have that money, don't you go do a value for money and find out whether that estimate brought to me is real or not? So if a public servant or whatever brought you the minister, that the school that he used to build for 60,000 he's not offering it to you at 320,000 Ghana cedis, and you also approve it, then you, the one who approve it, have not done your job. And that's what we're saying, that they should begin to check and find out whether we have real value for money. These are the things that will help in curtailing the huge government expenditure, and for that matter, government will have room to do whatever to do with it. As for the mining sector, the reality is that Obuasi mine, I don't think they have any lifespan. That is the reality. And that if we really want to keep Obuasi as a thing, we might begin to find some of the alternative things that will keep life there. Okay? One of the reasons why government divested all its interest was that they needed a very huge amount of money so they can do deep mining. Okay, and so that's why it was sold off. Okay, and so I have been wondering why the new owners never was able to raise the money to put in that system, such that they can then do a deep mining and then make it profitable. Since they claim since 1995, the production rate of Obuasi mine have been declining. And if they need more gold, they need to go deeper. And going deeper means new equipment,
new capital investment.
New capital investment. Because government then could not provide that capital, they decided, okay, let's sell it off, keep a little share in it, so that the experts will do it. So, to me, as a country, we must begin to look for alternative livelihoods or alternative economic systems that will keep Obuasi alive. But I don't really see Obuasi from what is happening.
Dependence on gold is
yes,
not too good.
It's not too good. That is the reality, and it's good that government has engaged the owners to see what they can do. But the reality is that they will need a very huge amount of money to do the investment.
About 1,000 workers are to be laid off.
Yes, but that is the reality of the mining business. Now, what has even made the case worse is that the value of the gold is depreciating. For the simple reason is that Europe and America's economy now is picking up. And so people are no longer buying gold as a surety. They're now, even disposing whatever they have bought into liquid, so that they could invest into other businesses. And so I don't see how the price of gold could rise up in the next 3 to 4 years. Okay, and so to me, as a country, we must begin to put in place other alternative economic livelihoods in Obuasi, so that the town does not become a ghost town. Because historically, that's what has been happening to gold towns. That if you depend only on the gold is exhaustible, and once the gold gets exhausted, everybody packs and leave, and the town becomes ghost. So we must begin to rethink and begin to put in place other economic systems in there that will keep the town alive. But like I said,
you don't seem to suggest there's any hope.
No.
Gordon, is government able to support the mining sector to overcome these challenges?
I wouldn't. It's not part of the budget of 2014.
Right.
And we cannot do anything to massage it. And anything that is going to see 1,000 people coming home is going to be a toll on their families. And you see, people who work in the mines too, sometimes their expenditure is a little high. So to live without money or live without work is going to be a huge problem. And I would say that there needs to be a means of, absorbing these people. And especially now that we are fighting against this galamsey and stuff, because with people like this, with the experience in mining and all those things, the next alternative is to find their own way going into this galamsey or other things that are going to also...
That are illegal.
Illegal. That's also going to create problems for the society. So I think that there needs to be a lot of things, thinking that needs to go into this thing. But when it comes to production, you can't also tell somebody to pay somebody when production is not going on or business is not good, let's simply put, to keep those people. So I think that we need to find a solution to
what is happening with the mining sector.
Because it's going to be a huge problem for especially the people living in and around. Because of the miners there's going to be some settler communities who will also be doing trading and all those things. So It's not just about this 1,000 people. a lot more people are going to, who are not directly miners, are also going to be affected. As Mr. Samuel Jemfi said, at the end of the day, we'll be talking about 5,000 people whose job will be lost.
Let's begin to wrap up this discussion with the accidents. We're told that on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, 8 people, Daily Guide has about 26. The Elmina Takrady Road, and then in Kumasi, in the Ashanti region, and then on the Tamale Kumasi Road. The beginning of the year and the accidents beginning to happen again, even though we thought last year, the police said the records indicate it was better. We're starting the year with this. Is this good for us? Mr. Samuel, let's look at it.
It is not good, and it's always sad. But most of the times, according to the National Road Safety Commission, about 90% of accidents are human error. Okay? And as a result of that, what it means then is that what is the caliber of the drivers we have? Okay, what do they really know the rudiments of it? We don't. And until and unless we begin to put in place punishment, most people drive recklessly. And when they get an accident, it doesn't go into any record to show that he's had an accident. So that if I'm engaging him, I have the right to go and check on his driver, what kind of driver is he? Okay, so people think that, look, once I do it, I will not be punished. And once there is no punishment for any offense, it's as good as not passing even a law. I have a problem with the current regime we have, where there's no proper correlation between the police, the DVLA, okay, in ensuring this. Many policemen cannot check readily whether my license is genuine or not, unless the DVLA person is with him. But in another country, once you bring out your license, the police officer just with a mobile phone someone can just dial and check whether it's a genuine one or not. Okay, and so if now there's any traffic offense and the police catches me, okay, in some countries it is recorded against my license and becomes a basis for which I can get job tomorrow or not. Here it is not done. So we need to change the road management system, put in place a proper regime where people are punished. Okay, in Europe, your level of recklessness determines the insurance you pay. If I'm a genuine driver, I don't commit anything, you are reckless, you and I pay the same. So why is the incentive for me to be careful?
So our systems are simply not right.
Because our systems are not right, we're going to have these needless accidents. Needless accidents. What kind of articulated drivers in this country, before they get the license, are they really trained to know the kind of which? I was just reading in the Chronicle that they've come out with the axle load, okay, that will conform with the whole of West Africa. You know, most of our trucks were arrested in Mali, you remember, because of overload. That place, if you overload, you sometimes even go to jail. Government had to go in and plead before they were released. Now we want to conform the same thing. The drivers are saying, no way. What they prefer, let me overload, and then you charge me. I pay a fine. We fail to recognize overloading itself brings down the car, damages the truck, okay,
and the road itself,
and damages the road. If it's going to cost us $100,000 to repair, to construct 1 mile of what do you call it, an asphalted road, so we should allow you to do that overload. Okay, but again, they need to be educated to understand that these are the things that is needed. Okay, to ensure that our roads last longer. They don't know it. So clearly, people do not go to drive a tanker like the gas driver.
Explosion.
I don't know. I don't believe that he was sent through a training to Fana. I really suspect that he might be sleeping. That's why he veered off the road. In some countries, once you set off on the road and you ply for 2 hours, you must rest for 30 minutes or 15 minutes before you continue. In this country, we don't have any highway stops, apart from the one that has been done on the Kumasi Road, but that is not mandatory. But in South Africa, it's mandatory. Once you take off, you must stop before you continue. Here, we have not even provided the systems on the major highways that will compel people to do that. And so he thinks that, oh, let me be chewing gum. Whilst I'm chewing gum, you know,
it will keep me awake.
To keep me awake. That's not true. You can be chewing the gum and you can still fall asleep. So he veered off. And now over 18 people are dead. You see, so we need to really streamline and our system such that people are really punished. But we don't do that. And because we don't do that, it is not the education. Now the radio adverts they do, or sometimes show accidented cars on TV, and that is not what
it doesn't help.
It doesn't. It is when you are punished, when you are really punished, then you begin to learn from it. But if you are not punished, there's no consequences to what you do. How many driver's licenses have been withdrawn? If when your license is being withdrawn, Sunday they pass by and go and do another one. Because if you go to the DVLA now, they don't have a database of any driver.
Well, DVLA says it is trying to automate its systems to check all this. But Gordon, the sanctioning these drivers, Mr. Sama is suggesting non-sanctioning is a reason why we keep having these accidents on our roads.
And that is really true. Talking of this Axel Road, use the industrial area. And I think just in front of Fan Milk,
right,
you see the way the road
totally destroyed. Yes, that portion of the road.
Axle load.
Axle load. You know, and it's going to cost me and you money to fix that road. The same thing happened at ECG towards Somo Vision. You know, and within a matter of months, that road again is destroyed. And let's also ask ourselves, in our quest to look for money, for instance, these kids that were run over by a car were walking on a pavement. Cars have stopped for them to cross. Somebody who thinks that he's a better driver or has something better to do decides to go over them, pass through the the pavement, and knock the kids down. And if you look at our pavements, where it is meant for us to walk, get to Niboy Town Junction today, where I live, and you realize that people are virtually using the main road because the pavement has been used for selling and putting up containers, kiosks, and all those things. So people are forced to compete with cars. And these are some of the things that we don't need to wait for an accident to occur. You know, and we sit down aloof. The moment an accident happens, then we begin listing some of these things. You go to a place, no speed ramps, just a signpost showing the mileage. You can only speed up to 50 kilometers, 20 kilometers per hour, because you are in a neighborhood. How many of us read those signs, and does it make meaning to any of us? You see a community, let me put a typical place like my place, a Zongo community in Niboy Town or something, that people can speed, and just sometime at the night, people speed, apply the brake, and then they turn the wheels of the car. Right? Yes, and then people who are supposed to stop it will be clapping. You know, and this is what we have been seeing around. So we think we can apply it everywhere. When somebody says that, I'm going to Kumasi and it is a 4-hour journey. Somebody says that, I can make it at 3 hours or 2 hours. You understand? It means that the 4 hours is because there are communities that you need to speed at maybe 50 kilometers per hour. At other places, you can go your 100 or your 120. Those, based on those calculations, that is how it was arrived at 4 hours. So you making it at 2 hours, 30 minutes or 3 hours means that you are going to speed where you are supposed to slow down. And when you are tired, and you see, most of the time, if you are traveling at night and you are tired, it happened to me. I was from Koforidua to Accra. I got to Ebri and there was huge fog there. I wanted to park so that if, you know, after 6,
you can drive then.
And I was struggling even to get a safe place to park so that nobody hits my back. And you can't also tell where the drains are because the roads are so narrow. So it means that though I was tired, I was forced to drive to Peduase, where the road is broader, where I could park and rest. So I think that when we are constructing roads, sometimes these things are provided, but because of funds, they will say cut this off is the road that people need. But the moment you start cutting things off, bus stops and all those things, it is people's life that we are.
But that's imagine Gordon was pointing to attitudes as a major cause of some of the problems we have in the country.
Yes, but the only way to deal with attitude is enforcement of the law. It's not by education. Like I said, drivers drive recklessly. If they have an accident and they don't die, they come back, pick their license and go back to it. What is the record to show? But if there's a system where, and the law says that before you give your private car to a driver, you must check with the DVLA to know what kind of driver he is. And if you go and realize that he's had 2 or 3 times accident in that database, another driver realizes, hey, I have to be careful.
And I think insurance companies should also
it's a system. It's a system. So the next time
your insurance that will be given to you because you are rampant, you are prone to
accidents should be higher.
Should be higher than somebody who has never. And it should be an incentive. So when I want to employ a driver, I'll look at your records.
Yes.
That it will be when you are driving my car, my insurance can even come down.
That's
because
you're a good driver.
Yeah.
But it's
so
not done.
Insurance companies should also be
you see, so that's why I said there should be a proper integration of all of these things and begin to punish people. If we fail to do that, how many drivers have been thrown to jail for hitting someone? Like these kids that they've hit them. He will not end up into jail. He will not. You see, and the sad thing is that we seem to think that as for death is part of life. So if you die, drunk driving became serious in America because of one little boy walking from school and a drunk driver hit him dead. Now, if you drink and hit someone in the U.S., the punishment is no joke because they felt that they wouldn't allow that to happen. Here it happens, and all we do is we talk about it, and then that becomes the end. As to whether we are lazy in trying to put it in place or something, I don't really get it. So as for the education, we've had enough of it. The institutions must come together and put in place systems that will begin to punish people for the violation of these laws. And once that happens, okay, you would then realize that, hey, Master, this thing I'm driving, if I drive recklessly and I get an accident, the police is going to record me onto my database. Next I want to go and look for a job, the car owner have to go back there and find out that whether what my status is. Okay, if I want to get an insurance, the same thing. Insurance for commercial car, who is the driver driving, and we want to know who the driver is. Check the driver's background. If the driver has had a lot of accidents, you pay more insurance. So if I'm a car owner, I won't take you. I'll be looking for a driver who is not. So then you begin to separate the bad ones from the good ones. But if we don't do things like this and we just we'll talk about it, it's not going to solve the problem.
Let's run the police should also be firmer on the road than they are. Sometimes somebody car is stopped, then the driver just pick a phone, call somebody. You hear the police officer with the phone just saying, "Yes sir, yes sir, okay sir, all right sir." Gives the phone back to the driver. Carry on.
So a senior police officer,
probably either they call the politician, a senior police officer, or whoever. Nobody knows. But what you hear the policeman saying is that, yes sir, okay sir, then the driver moves on. You see, this attitude of us wouldn't help. The police officer probably is not looking at the lives of the passengers in the car, but is looking at his sustainability of his job, so that nobody will call him tomorrow and sanction him or anything. I think that is also a problem.
Let's see how we'll all help our attitudes to change to help develop this country. Thanks so much, gentlemen, for joining me. Gordon Gan is a member of the NDC Communications team. Mr. Gordon Gan and Asamoah Jemfi is a member of the NPP communications team. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining me.
Thank you.
And we have more on the AM show coming up. Don't go yet. We'll have a lot more. But you can also stay interactive on our social media platforms. Stay with us. We're coming back in a moment.